All right, all right. We are back at the podcast studios today. We are in Belmont, New Jersey, and I have a very special guest with me. I have Cliff from the brand of Me. And Cliff and I met 15 years ago. I was just moving into New Jersey. I had connected with him and his business partner at the time, Vin, and I was doing a little bit of work for their business, and I bought some shirts from their print shop, and we haven't been in touch. We've been over the years. We've been in touch. We helped build a couple websites for them. We helped with some marketing. And when the podcast came back around, I thought Cliff would be a great guest to have on. So welcome.
Well, great. Thanks. Pleasure being here.
It's been a long time since I've seen you, but it was great to see you as you walked in the door this morning. So you are a businessman for years,
right?
How many years have owned a business?
So on and off, I've owned businesses for probably 45 years. I was mostly in the restaurant business for over 40 years. I've owned 15 at one point back in the 80s. I owned a couple of IHOP franchises. I helped people open businesses. And I was the first vice president for Sbarro's. I don't know if you're Sbarro Pizzeria.
Sbarro's was on Long Island.
Yes.
And that's where I grew up. So I definitely know them. I've had them since I was a little kid.
I was the first outsider they brought in because they were going to go public and they needed somebody with some management experience. And that really started me getting really, really involved in large corporations.
Awesome. So from IHOPs to, I know that you are very heavily involved in the Bayshore area of Monmouth County, which is the northern, for those that don't know the Bayshore area, it's the northern waterfront area of Monmouth County, in the Keyport, Hazlitt, Highlands, area.
Yeah. So the Bayshore is a little bit misunderstood, and that's what I sort of like about it, and that's the challenging part. So when people say the Jersey Shore is basically everything from Sandy Hook down. And those are waves. That's the actual ocean. We're actually on the bay. And it's unfortunate that people don't realize the beauty of those little towns. They're little towns that all work in silos, and they each have their own history, and they each have their own great things. And the beauty about it is I do economic development for Keansburg. And the beauty about the Bay is if you have a young family, it's the perfect place to take them. Why? You're getting the sand, the smell of the ocean, you're getting the salt water, you're getting a beautiful view of New York, and you don't have to worry about your little kid getting knocked over by a humongous wave, because you got to go out a quarter mile to get it up to your waist. So once people start understanding that, they're more in tune to come to those little towns.
Keansburg is under redevelopment. There's a lot of stuff going on there.
So Keansburg right now has 700 new rental units that are under construction. The first 55 are up now. They're being developed by a master development, Carter Sackman, who helped develop Asbury Park. But there's 700 rental units going up. There's 42,000 square foot of retail, commercial, and entertainment space. There's a lot of infrastructure changes. We have another project that's 96 condos. It's going to be built right on the water. We are promoting Airbnbs. We actually have something in place where we want Airbnbs to come in because people don't know anything about that area. And there are no hotels. There are no supermarkets. So it's like that little area that has so much going on that nobody knows about. It's a hidden gem.
Excellent. And you had a business there.
So I had a restaurant there called K Charest. I've been in the restaurant business, as I told you, my entire life. At one point in, I guess it was about 2008, 2010, I had owned 7 businesses at once, and that was my home ground.
Yep. So now you've kind of sold and modified some of these businesses and put them into different ownerships. So now where is your focus today?
So my focus today is the brand of Me I started about the time you started your business, about 2009. And I did group coaching. I owned an IHOP. I had a side room. I did classes probably 3 times a week. I got involved in social media. And that was pretty much my gig at that time. And then I got into one-on-one. And it was really in 2017 that I decided I had realized that everything I was doing and chasing my tail at the same time. I was in my own way. I had too much going on. I really couldn't focus on one thing.
You give back to the community so much. So, I could understand that. I know that from just being in town, being in the area with the chambers of commerce and the business organizations. Plus, you gave back to nonprofits after Sandy, and you held events.
Well,
So
I believe that any business needs to be involved in the community, right?
Agree.
They say it takes a village to raise a child. Well, it takes an entire town to build a business. There's no way around that. And so I was the president of the Northern Monmouth Chamber of Commerce. I was the president of the Keyport Business Alliance. I was one of the founding members of the Economic Development Committee for the Hazlitt Business Owners Association. So I've been pretty much involved in that whole area. So I look at myself more as a power connector, and I still have contacts literally in the Bayshore. And when somebody wants to come in, I sort of try and help them find that little niche.
that's great. That's awesome. It's needed. You need guys like yourself, and you need people to give back to these nonprofits. If these nonprofits don't have the funding, they can't do what they want to do, what they need to do, what the community needs of them, and in turn, 10 years from now, we're going to have a problem in the community.
Exactly. And so where I was in 2010 to where I am today is totally different. Today I focus more on the brand of me. And the brand of me was evolved because I was involved in so many things. People were confused, what hat did I have on? I owned a print shop, I owned a newspaper, I owned restaurants, I owned a social media company. And so people didn't know who I was, but I started to realize that it's really not the business is the brand. You, the person, are the brand, no matter what you do. And to your point, and you do this very, very well, you're involved in charities. You're involved in whether it's Little League or baseball or soccer or something. That's really the brand of who you are. That's your DNA. And right now, I sort of evolve my business into I help people identify how they self-sabotage themselves and try and get them to take that away. And you really can't be successful in business if you're going to have something that's going to hold you back. I think more people are afraid of success than they are failure. They just don't understand that formula.
And now when you start breaking that down for people, like, what do the results look like?
It's incredible. So
It's gotta be.
I have a process called mind mapping. And what we do with mind mapping, well, first we sign a non-disclosure agreement, so I can't share any information to get them comfortable. And we start exploring who they are, what their histories are, what their past trauma is. And so the easiest way for me, if you were going to be a client, Tom, I'd explain to you that you have a subconscious. And your subconscious is what your comfort zone is. And everybody's heard of a comfort zone. So if you thought of it as a thermostat in your business, you set a thermostat. You set a low point and a high point. So in most businesses, you set it at 68 and 72. So if it gets warmer than 72, what happens? The air conditioning kicks on. If it gets less than 68, what happens? The heat kicks on. So that's your subconscious. And what we want to do is we want to expand that. And when you can expand that comfort zone by taking these self-sabotaging things away, that becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. Have you ever been in a situation where you tried doing something and you're doing your best, and then for some reason it just doesn't work? That's because you got something inside of you that's saying, "Hey, I can't do that," and you don't know what's causing that. But it's something that pulls you back in. And I've taken people, there's 30 self-sabotaging things that we check off, and we go through them. And so what you think you're self-sabotaging yourself with isn't really what you're self-sabotaging. It's something else that's feeding into it. And we break it down from that 30 to, or whatever that number is for your particular case, to 6 to 3. And then we figure out, hey, I'm afraid of this because of this, and you know what you're afraid of. And by the way, that goes away. That goes away.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah. It builds confidence, right? It builds confidence.
I think a lot of people are stuck in their comfort zone, and they don't want to go outside their comfort zone because it's hard and because it's uncomfortable. But I think you have to be uncomfortable to grow.
You have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. You have to get comfortable, and a lot of it has to do with self-talk, right? So, and everyone self-talks and they don't realize, I really can't do this. So, hey, Tom invited me to the podcast, and if I woke up this morning and said, oh crap, I don't want to go to Tom's podcast, or do you wake up and say, I can't wait to get to Tom's podcast?
I mean, I just told you before, 57 people have been recorded, 35 in the process. People want to be on this podcast.
Exactly, and I saw, and again, I knew you when you were just starting out and you had websites, and we sat down and had all these meetings and we're trying to figure stuff out. To see you evolve into this, and that's what people have to do. And I think that's a piece that a lot of business owners, especially solopreneurs, they miss that opportunity, because what happens is they're waiting for things to happen, right? So there's a thing, it's either action or self-confidence. Well, it doesn't take self-confidence to get action. You need to do the action first. You're going to learn from that action, and guess what? That's going to build your self-confidence. You're not going to be perfect out of the box. Fail. Get up there and fail one time and learn the lesson. Move on.
You have to. In social media, it's like that. People say to me all the time, well, what about this? What about this? Try it. If it doesn't work, tomorrow's a new day, a new post, and, see what connects with your audience. And again, there's sometimes we're an audience where I think something's going to There are times that some posts I think are going to kill it.
And nothing happens.
And they fall flat on their face. And then there's other posts I'm like, it was okay. I did one the other day with a jar, and it said about, tell us with your name a characteristic for a positive thought. And it got like, I was on Memorial Day Monday night. I figured start the week off strong for Tuesday morning. I had over 100 likes.
Wow.
And 100 comments. And a couple of people didn't know their first name because they put the wrong, positive vibe in there. But overall, I mean, over 100. And I was like, I didn't think that. I thought that was going to be a smaller one. Meanwhile, like some of the other ones you like. So I totally agree with you. You have to just try stuff, put it out there. If it doesn't hit, keep moving.
Keep moving. So back in 2007, 8, when Facebook first started, I had a company called the Social Media Wizards. And so I chase shiny silver objects. So if I see there's a chance to make money, I'm on it. And we started a company called the Social Media Wizards. Again, Facebook had just started, and people didn't know how to do it. So I rented, through the brand of me, I rented out the computer room in Brookdale Community College at their campus in Haslen. We would fill it up. And we would teach people how to open up their accounts, how to do LinkedIn, how to set up Twitter. And we sort of gave them the whole history. But what happened is I had to get out of that business because then things started to change, right? Algorithms, people wanted reports, people wanted all this stuff. And to your point, what we thought was going to be a hit out of the park, nobody even liked it or anything. So now we need companies like you that understand how the algorithms work. Social media is constantly changing how they're doing things.
And the algorithm is very annoying.
Very annoying. It's like if you can trick it and get away with it once, but you're not going to get away with it again. No. So, social media to me too is also it's artificial in some sense because people only post the best things about themselves and they put filters on. That's not really reality sometimes.
No. And I think that's for the young kids. Like for the business guys, I get it, and you want to always put your best foot forward. But I also think you have to be real too in that. And there's going to be days where it's not perfect, and you have to kind of let it be. But I feel bad for the young kids that are following these, celebrities and with everything being perfect because that's not real.
It's not perfect. Influencers are good to help you carry your message, but influencers are exactly what they are. They're influencers. They have a lot of people follow them. Doesn't mean they agree with them. Doesn't mean it's the right thing.
No.
But that's the way that works. So if we could talk about what you do, and you've morphed, and I'm really happy to see where you were. Again, I knew you when you were just starting, and you knew me when I was just starting. But I believe success comes from a business person when they become a chameleon or an octopus. Now, when I teach this part of it in one of my workshops, I say one of my successes is because I'm a chameleon. And a chameleon does what? They change their color when they land on something. And I was doing a class one time, and somebody said, you're not a chameleon, you're an octopus. And they named some species of octopus, which I don't remember. And they said, well, the difference between a chameleon and an octopus is if you're in business and you're a chameleon, you wait for something to change, and then you change with it. I'm an octopus. I look at something before it's going to change, so I'm changing color before I actually land. And that's pretty much where you want to be. So, I've got examples throughout my entire career where I did things that were totally out of the ordinary, and just like Facebook, you don't think it's going to work, and that was the grand slam. That's the thing that took you to the farthest end.
Mm-hmm. Now, what are you looking at in the way of AI?
So AI, I'm very, very involved in AI.
I figured.
I use AI for some of my stuff, not all of my stuff. I don't use it for my social media stuff or anything that's authentic. Mm-hmm. Because I think if you're going to be authentic, AI just takes that away. And somebody can tell the difference between the way I talk and my affliction in voice than something that's out there. So AI to me is a good resource to go if I want to research something. And it's got its place, and that's something that's growing very, very quickly.
Where do you see that with the job market and
Well, that's a great question.
With your economic development?
So, not even in the economic development. So on my website, which there's something there I call Lumi. Lumi is my chatbot, and if you're looking to go on an interview, you go in there, put your name, and you put in there what type of job you're looking for, and this thing will interview you. And depending on your question, it's AI driven. Depending on how you answer that question, asks you a different question, then it asks you a different question. Mm-hmm. And you can keep going back and changing it. You can actually take a job post and description and put it in there and say, I'm looking for this job, and it'll talk you through what your answer should be. Now, it doesn't give you the answer, but through the questions, and then at the end, after 15, you can print it up, or you can do whatever you want. That's absolutely free.
Yeah, that's great.
So from the job market, I think that's just an opportunity for people to train themselves to be more comfortable.
And how do you feel like with job growth because of AI or lack thereof?
So, okay, I think You need to understand what AI is. I'm not going to get involved in the debate. It loses jobs, it gains jobs. I think a lot of, and again, I'm not separating generations, but I think currently the generation that's coming up, they don't like to be in front of people. They don't like to be engaging, and because of social media and stuff like that. Now, I'm not passing judgment on that. That's the evolution of time and how they're going to respond. They'd rather work home remotely, but unfortunately, a lot of jobs aren't remote.
Yeah. Fair. Now with the brand of me, and this coaching and this networking, how are you now getting back? You're back into the networking space.
So in the networking space, I got back involved with the chamber. So in 2014 is when I stopped. I was just so diluted, it wasn't effective.
You were
for me
everywhere.
anymore. I was everywhere.
You couldn't be in one more place.
I was out 5 nights a week. I knew everybody. And now that I got involved again, I do some networking groups. In fact, every first Monday we do a networking event in Keyport. It's at 3BR, which is a distillery. It's absolutely free. There's no membership. We have one this Monday if anybody wants to join us. We have food. We put 3 sponsors or 2 sponsors. They pay $50 for a table, and we buy food with that. So it's totally free. Mm-hmm. Then what we do on the third Monday of the month, and they're always on Mondays, the third Monday of the month, we go to the Court Jester in Matawan or Aberdeen, depending on whether you live in Aberdeen or Matawan, you want to claim that. And then we do a networking event there. And then what we just did is we decided, hey, look, we go to a networking event, Tom, and you and I meet, and we say, hey, let's get together. And you say, yeah, let's get together, Cliff. Mm-hmm. And guess what? We never get together because we don't have time. So what we did is we created another event, which is on the second and fourth Mondays of the month, and that's at Just Love Coffee in Matawan. And what that is from 5 to 8, they're closed for business. They open up just so you can go and meet me and sit down and have a seat there. You want to have a group meeting, you can have a group meeting there. You want to shoot videos, you shoot videos. We bring experts in and stuff. So what it did is it takes away that excuse now that, hey, let's get together. No, there's no reason why you can't get together now. Or if you want to meet somebody and you don't know where to meet them, that's the perfect place to meet them. So that's another opportunity. But networking is totally different than it was in the past. Mm-hmm. As you know, after COVID, more people are into this virtual stuff, but it's totally different than shaking somebody's hand and talking to them face to face.
100% agree.
Yeah, 100%.
I think it's, I like in person. I like to be with people. I like to talk to people. I like to get to know people. So I'm more on your side of the equation on networking. And I think that networking has changed. I think that it's important, though, for business owners to be able to connect with each other. Like, I don't want to get on a Zoom.
Right.
I'd rather just meet you.
Right.
Once you get on a Zoom too, people get distracted, and it's not as authentic as if we went and grabbed a cup of coffee.
Correct. And that's what you do. So, let's sit down and have a cup of coffee, Tom. So now you have a place that you can do that.
That's great. And and the coffee shop likes this idea.
Oh, they love this idea because it's bringing people to that shop that was never there before. That was never there before. So, it's always good to meet people and be part of people. So I consider myself a power connector. So I know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. So if you need something, and I get calls all the time for the strangest stuff, and people will contact me, and I'll direct them or I'll find a place for them.
Let's just say you got a guy.
I got a guy.
Everybody knows. Cliff, he's got a guy. I feel like people call me for that too. Like,
yeah.
I get those random one-off
exactly.
questions like, who do you know who does this? And you're like, oh, wait, this guy does it. Yeah.
And you can get annoyed by it because hey, that's what makes me successful is I became a resource for somebody, right? I became the resource. Yep. And that's when you're successful.
I think that's great too. And again, it's great for everybody. Everybody wants to use a referral of someone that they know or someone that they've done business with. I want to be able to pass my clients along and know that they're going to do a great job for someone. So it's a win-win-win.
It's a win-win. And the important thing too is when you get and you're introducing somebody. So I won't refer somebody unless I'm comfortable with that person. I need to know because that affects my credibility, right?
Totally.
So, and you've been down that path as well. So, you want to make sure that you have the right people. But what I do when I go to a networking event and I meet somebody for the first time, I don't try and figure out how can I get that person to do business with me. I start thinking, who can use that service? Because you've got the law of reciprocation. It says if I can find you something and you remember who I am and you remember what I do. So my mantra is this, and you may remember this because I had this way back when, is what you know is important. Who you know is more important. Would you agree with me that this person's the contact? Yes. But who knows what you know is what's most important. I may not use your service. I may never use anything that you have because I have no need to, but I will come across somebody someday that knows, hey, I know somebody that can do that social media. I know somebody can do podcasts. I know somebody can do that. So that's really what it's about. It's about finding out, how do I get to know a person to know how I can share them.
And that's the bigger win.
That's the bigger one.
I think that you've nailed it. Like, you understand how the local business market game is done, and how to be successful, and how to help others. And again, it's helping others that helps the community, that helps those nonprofits. It all works together. If you could put together a team of people that want to help, which you've done multiple times, now when you have to do when there's a nonprofit event and there's someone that you need some help, you can go reach out to them because you've done right by them.
Right. And so when I had my 7 businesses and I was all over the place, the smartest thing I did, and at that time I thought was stupid, is I hired a business coach. And I was like, I own 7 businesses. What can this guy possibly teach me? And he was fairly expensive. It was $350 an hour. And I said, gee, Chris, that's a lot of money. He says, what are you comparing me to? How do you know? And I'm like, I'm sitting there saying, I'll try this guy, right? I got nothing to lose. And we did some sessions and stuff. And he told me, he says, look, I'm not going to give you an answer. I'm not going to tell you what you need to do. I'm going to make you think differently. And I'm like, okay, sure you are. And so over time, I started to think differently. And he saw me all over the place. I'm in the IHOP here. I'm at Market Me here. I go to my wife's yarn shop here. And I'd be all over the place. So I'd be in every business in a day. And he's like, you're wasting your time. So he gave me an assignment. And my assignment was, I had 28 days. And every 4 hours, I was to record where I was and what my major accomplishment was in 4 hours. So from 8 to 12, 8 in the morning to noon, noon to 4 p.m., and then 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., and because I was networking, 8 p.m. to midnight. And so he shows up the next week, and we're sitting down, and I give him his payment, and he says, well, where's the assignment? I says, I didn't get a chance to do it. And he says, okay. He says, well, thank you for the check. I'm leaving you. When you decide that you're serious enough to want to do what I'm telling you need to do to understand who you are, give me a call back. So he fired me. And I said, holy crap. So what happens is I call him back. I did the assignment, and I call him back. And we sat down, and he helped me so much. I said, wow. Because I was going from point to point. Hey, if I'm only going to put 8 hours in the yarn shop, why am I doing it over 5 days? Let's pick a day that you're most... And he broke out my schedule. I had time on my hands. So I had learned so much from him. And I was like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to be. He was my mentor when it came to that sense. And so I do things slightly different than he does. So your first consultation with me is free. It's absolutely free. We sit down, it's more of an interview. This is what you are. This is who I am. This is how I work. And if you're ready to make the commitment, fine, we're good. I look at it from a different perspective. I look at it that, you know what, Tom, when you succeed and you don't need me anymore, that's when I succeeded. So it's not about collecting a check every week. It's getting you to the point where you don't need me anymore, right? That's what a good coach is. And so everyone after COVID, I'm a coach on this, I'm a coach on that. What experience do you have? With what credentials? You know, these people that say they're business owners. You're not a small business owner until you can't pay your mortgage, you're behind on something, all of your money is going towards your help or something. There's certain hardships that a solopreneur, small entrepreneur goes through that nobody else knows about. Just because you're in a company that's got all of this money and you never knew what it was like to have not take a paycheck, that's totally different. And your approach to things are different.
You're absolutely right.
So that's
that's awesome. So now, just going back to the coach. So now he lays out the plan, you fill in the plan, and you start changing the way you operate.
Oh, absolutely. I change. So when we were all done, and I'm gonna feel stupid saying this.
Go for it.
It took me about 3 years, and we kept going over stuff, over and over stuff. And one day one of my homework assignments is I had to come up with the top 5 problems of each one of my, at that time, 6 businesses. I had sold one, and we're sitting there, and he says, okay, so what's the common denominator in all this? Gee, I don't know. It's it's this. Oh, well, Jeff works here, and Flo works here, and he's no. Take a look at all of it. And we sat there for about 10 minutes, and he kept saying to me, nope, that's not it. Nope, that's not it. Then finally I sat there and I said, you know what? The only common denominator in every one of these is me. He says, you're right. You're the one that's your own problem. You're the one that's creating the problems in all these businesses because of my management style. I was very, very authoritative. I was very, very, hey, this is the way you were going to do it, and that's it. It's my way or it's the highway. And then when I realized that, I said, yeah, you know what? That makes sense. So I changed my whole management style. I changed everything. And that was my aha moment. And that was my aha moment. And I continue to preach that now today. That I think most people are in their own way. And when you figure out where you can get comfortable and you can expand that comfort zone, you're going to be a lot more successful because fear's what's holding you back.
Yep. Wow, that's a great way to that's a great way to end this chat today. So, Cliff, let people know where they can find you online.
Okay. So you can find me on my website, thebrandofme.biz. I'm on social media, Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I have a YouTube channel, and I would love if you go to my YouTube channel. I think I have 124 videos up there. I would like you to subscribe. I need some more subscriptions on that. But I'm on Instagram and all of that stuff. And if I can just throw a plug for a new project I'm working on. I'm working on a platform called... I got to think of what the name of it was. So Pitch, Share, and Connect. And what that is we took the application WhatsApp and their video, we took texting, and we took Linktree, which are links, and we put that all on one platform. So what it is, it's a platform that you can introduce people on, you can send your message, you can market. And the beauty about it is this, you can do a video right on your phone. So it's different if I send you an email or a text because you don't get the energy, you don't get the vibes, you don't get the affliction. This is the actual energy. And the beauty about it too is I can shut off a text receipt, I can shut off a email receipt, but you can't shut this off. If you open up my link, I got a thing that says you open my link. If you watch my video, you watch the video. So we're in beta test right now. We have about 300 people that have signed up for it. We think it is a solution for businesses. Again, I'm a connector. And the problems that it solves is I know the message was received. I know the message is getting out there different than it was. You can put your contact link on it. You can put your business card in it. It's a totally, totally different dynamic and a different way of approaching people and connecting with them.
Awesome. That's very cool. I want to see it. I want to get on the beta
And actually,
program.
you can get on if you just go to pitchshareconnect.com, you can have a free trial offer.
Perfect. All right, let's check it out. I'll be on there signing up, and I'll
Fantastic.
try it out. Well, it was great to have you on.
Same
It's
here.
great
Thank you
to
for the
see
opportunity.
You after 15 years, and I love what you're doing. I love that you're staying in the game, and you definitely know how it works. I mean, you said it today. Like every small business owner that goes through the hustle of it all, and that's the grit. I mean, the fact that 40 years later, you're still at it. Like you're still doing it, and I love to see what you're doing, and it's an inspiration to see all these years later, coming back together to chat about this.
Fantastic.
Great
Thank
to
you
see
very much.
you.
Pleasure to see you too. Thank you.